Hey, I'm Suzanna Lanier, actor and acting coach for over 25 years.
I'm Jess Greenberg, casting director for over 10 years.
We're here to help you navigate this crazy, creative, and sometimes chaotic journey into the film and television world.
We share our insights as to what works.
And invite some pretty spectacular guests to share more ideas to move you on your journey.
So without further ado, let's get into the show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Minisode.
Hello.
Welcome. So this Thursday, we're going to be talking to Jesse Camacho, who has been a child actor. He's in Toronto now, but he's back and forth between Montreal and Toronto. And he gives us great insight and shares his journey with us. And one thing that stood out for Jess and I was he was talking about how he approaches the role when he's a recurring role in a series or when he's a lead in a series, that his role changes. And we thought maybe for this episode, we would change our title. And Jess came up with a new title. And what did you say?
Yeah, I think we have to change this podcast from Book the Room to Read the Room.
Yes. Maybe not always, but for this episode, this minisode.
Yeah. Well, we asked him the question because it came up because we were talking about fears, right? And maybe that having a whole show on your back is maybe what's holding you back from booking that lead in a series or whatever. And so his answer actually, I think, surprised both of us, at least it did for me, when he's like, no, when I was, the lead in Less Than Kind, I felt so supported, and I was, I had the best team, the best co-stars, and didn't feel as much pressure. It was actually a lot more nerve-wracking to walk in on Lock and Key, being a recurring and coming in at like the last shooting block and not, really knowing everybody yet.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. And it makes total sense. And it's so true that you gotta read the room and know when you could play, when you just got to show up and deliver the exact thing that you did in your audition or whatever it is. But it's key.
Yeah, it is. I thought it was interesting too, because I had shared this in BB's episode, like, oh God, being a lead sounds like so much pressure. So it was interesting to hear Jesse say that. And then I can see that when you're a lead, you have more say. So you get to be part of that team, and not saying you shouldn't have a lot of say in what you're doing. And I have that issue but we talk about this in class a lot, just about how you need to have freedom. You need to be confident. You need to be courageous. You need to make strong choices. But then it's also project dependent, like if you have a one-liner in a big blockbuster, you hit your mark, you say your line. The story's not about you. You're not driving the story, right? So you're supporting the story. And so that's how you maybe shouldn't explore too much unless it looks like that kind of set. You got to figure it out. Whereas if you're doing like a student film, explore. So it's interesting how read the room, know yourself, know what your strengths are, and then feel it out. But then sometimes that's also hard, because if you're a shy person, then when do you get to be free? When do you get to let your creativity, when do you get to let your voice heard? Only when you're a lead?
No, well, I think that's the key in when you're auditioning, is that's your opportunity to play.
Right.
And to have fun in a way, is to show what you could bring, to show what you could explore, and then have the director say, okay, this is what I want on set. I liked what you delivered in the self-tape, and then when you get to set, that's when the clock is ticking and it's like, I need you to deliver this. I think it is different when you are a recurring or a lead, and, you're playing with an ensemble, and that's when you could probably play a little. But those smaller roles, I mean, I still think there could be room to play. I remember Tanisha told us a story when she was a reporter, and she sort of added a bit of like her flair to it, and the director loved it, and gave her more lines. Like, it could happen, but that again, it's like, read the room. Don't take up too much space. You got to know your place and know your role, the role you're playing, and also your role, literally, like where you stand on set. And it could be a tricky dance, but I think a lot of actors are intuitive, and I think that they know or should have a good idea of like when to push it, when to not. And
exactly. And how much freedom they have.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a tricky dance, though. I agree, because I definitely encourage confidence and creativity, but it's not
Mhm.
for everybody, right? But I love what you're saying now. Do it in the audition room. If you have a strong instinct on it, do it in the audition room. Let them decide at
Yeah.
that point if that's what they want. You'll get to know
Yeah.
your director. You could ask too, right? You could just ask the director, oh, I have an idea. Would it be okay if I tried it? And if they were like, honestly, no, we're good with what you're giving, then that's it. Zip it, say your role, and move on.
Yeah. And it's so true. It's so dependent on the director, the project, because yeah, one of the directors that I've worked with, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna want, like, I didn't write a lot of dialogue for these characters because I'm gonna want some of a natural banter.
Right.
And it's like, so he wanted people who were, had a bit of comedic timing, who had some improv background, that, he wants them to bring their own flair to it. And
Right.
he's excited by that. And so it's welcomed. But I
Right.
think that different roles, different projects, different directors, everyone works so differently, even different actors. Some actors do not want to improvise at all. They're like,
Right.
no, give me my lines. I will show up. I will do it. Do not ask me to throw my own flair in it. Like, it's
Right.
not the kind of actor I am. So again, come back to like self-awareness, who you are, what you're comfortable with, and also knowing the other players.
Right. Yeah, because I know I have students who could like get away with a lot, and they're not annoying. They're very charming and very funny, and they can
Mhm.
really push boundaries, but they do it in such a charming way that you're kind of like, wow, but then others, it's really awkward and makes everybody feel uncomfortable, or they're just overly trying to sell it and push it, and same thing, turning people off. And so
Yeah.
it's that read the room and read yourself, like know your strengths of
Yeah.
how to do it, and yeah, maybe push it slowly if you're trying to sort of break some barriers there.
Yeah. Test the waters a little.
Test the waters a little, and I like what you said. Test them maybe even a little more, especially in a self-tape. Send 2 takes, one straight and one where you just are like, oh, I have an idea. It's a little bit out there, but I want to try it.
Yeah.
Do it. That's like easy breezy, and then they can make their choice.
Exactly.
Wonderful. So
Cool.
I hope everybody, you like this episode of Read the Room. And we're going to be talking to Jessie on Thursday, and there's a lot of stuff. The other one we really liked, which is in the highlights, is know when to leave the room after an audition. So we will be talking more about that. Have a great couple of days, everybody, and we'll see you on Thursday.
See you
Bye.
Thursday. Bye.